It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercers sit down and talk about some of the more common questions or questions that are submitted, those that collect tattoos and piercings may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Or Axiom Body Piercing. I keep wanting to, I don't know, flip-flop on that. Got the usual crew, the Do Crew.
Yo.
Over on my right is Jimmy St. John, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Directly to my right is Jack Lowe, owner and operator and tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen.
Aye.
Then there's me, DaVo. I'm a body piercer, and I also own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. And then directly to my left is Brent, who is a tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Today's question was submitted by one of our viewers who has a great handle, Annoying Fan. And this is what he asked. Oh, I have a question for next time. How long does it take a tattoo to age before y'all can come up or cover it up with another tattoo or modify or fix the tattoo?
Well, good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. It doesn't really. It's not necessarily a matter of age, as far as I'm concerned. What I look at and initially want to know about the tattoo is, how thick the lines are, just how bold the tattoo is. How much does it jump off the skin? So. And a lot of times, everybody knows as a tattoo ages, it will tend to kind of soften a bit. The lines tend to soften a bit. And if you're in the sun a lot, they can fade a little bit. And all those things do make it easier, but those things aren't necessarily required to cover it up. So, the darker and the more sharp angles, and contrast that are in it, the harder it is. The more mushy and squishy and fuzzy and not real sharp makes it easier.
Right. Okay, so when the lines are more blown out is what you're getting kind of
Yeah, because what people, I think, get misconstrued is they think, it's kind of like painting on a wall, Yeah. So you're kind of layering ink over the top. And you're really not. You've got this area, this kind of small area that ink can live. And it's already been filled with ink. Hopefully it's kind of faded or really light gray, because that'll mix with whatever you put in it real easy. So think of if you have a tattoo with red in it. Okay, imagine you have a cup full of red paint, and you want that red green.
It's going to be a tough one.
You can't just take green and go over the top.
Nope.
Because that means you're pouring green in with the red.
It's going to change.
How much green do you have to pour into that red and mix it to where it looks more green?
A lot.
Right. And it'll never be green.
No. It usually goes brown.
Brownish green.
Brown, yeah.
And you can't take any red out of the cup. You only have what'll fit in there of green. So, you can change, yellow to green.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Put a little blue in it.
Green with a little more blue than usual in it, and then that, so there's really no right answer or gauge you can, use. Yeah. It's so individual what you can use, how much of extra skin do you need to use. So there's really no right and wrong, but the more faded and less, I think, crisp it is.
Yeah,
because
I always worry about
how
healed it is.
Yeah.
Well, if it's something fresh, and if they've overworked some patches in the skin, and it's got little cookie scabs in it or something like that has to be completely healed before I can go back into it or do anything.
So, at what point should somebody consider a tattoo healed? Maybe that's something that we should
if it's done
cover.
really well, usually about 2 to 3 weeks is a good healing time.
Okay,
but there are special occasions where somebody's overworked the skin or gone really heavy, trying to blast a heavy amount of black or a solid color in. And they just simply overwork the area because the skin can only take so much work.
And then the client has more of an opportunity to
if you've picked at it and scratched at it, you didn't leave the Sanoderm on for 3 to 4 days like you're supposed to. You took it off the day after, or there's all kinds of variation. Right. There's all kinds of variations to it, but you just have to come in and let us take a look at it and see how far it's progressed in healing, how old the tattoo is, so we can tell and judge by how much healing time it's needed. and take a look at it. And once it's pretty much settled and healed, then you can get in it and start to work with it and fix it and cover it if you need to or whatever.
And I'm sorry. Another thing that occurred to me is one of the biggest things that can make it hard to cover something is the client. Mm-hmm. If all they want is I want snowflakes and snowmen and I want and bald eagle heads.
Yeah,
that doesn't even begin to cover anything.
And if you come in with a quarter-size tattoo, we're not covering it with a quarter-size tattoo.
That's the biggest.
The general rule is if you got a tattoo that you need to cover, it's going to need to the cover-up's going to need to be 2 to 3 times bigger, generally, than the tattoo you're covering. And that it also you're limited on what you can use. Like a lot of times we'll recommend like bears or wolves or birds or flowers because we can hide it in the structure of all that going on, and it takes your eye away from it.
And not only that,
a good cover up, you don't like just black out that spot because then you're going to pull your eye to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to have it. That's the wrong thing to do. You do not want to cover up with a big, heavy, saturated black or dark colored patch because that's going to pull your eye right to that spot. The object is to take your eye away from it and create the illusion that there's nothing going on there anyway.
Yeah.
And so you want to hide it in the, like fur or feathers or, petals.
And the reason why those work is organic stuff is usually more chaotic in its pattern.
And you can manipulate.
Yeah. You can manipulate it better.
Yeah, like a lot of, it seemed like there was a lot of people coming in and wanting cover-ups and wanted to use a cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
A cross has about, if a cross is this big, yay wide, it's got a spot right in the middle where it intersects, a square about that big, and then you've got these arms. So unless you're covering the exact cross I'm going to put on you with this cross, there's going to be shit sticking out of it, right?
And I think it's really common with names to think that they can do that.
Just go over a name. Well, okay, write Sandra on a piece of paper and then write Eric
Jack
over the top of it. Did it cover it up? No, it's not going.
Same thing on skin. You can't cover a name with a name.
Yeah, that's not just going to make it.
You can't erase parts and
because I think a lot of them think that since it's this line with
yeah, but then again, think about that. If you're covering,
very tiny,
like a kanji this big, then guess what? Yeah, we can just cross, but it's going to be 2 to 3 times bigger than what you got. And so what I'll suggest if they really want a cross in there, okay, well, cross can be there, but it's just not going to be part of the cover up.
Right.
We're going to wrap some roses and some vines and some leaves. Yeah. And organic stuff is really good because it can be moved and it doesn't, and it's not wrong. A cross, okay, if I bend this arm down,
it's gonna look weird.
Bend this arm down to kind of cover that part, well, that looks terrible.
Right.
But flowers and petals and leaves can move, and
and you can't cover up like, oh, I got this Mario Luigi bomb from Nintendo on my arm. Can I cover it up with a portrait? No. And we can't cover it up with Jesus's face, and we can't cover it up with praying hands.
Yeah,
like
color.
There's a lot of black and gray stuff. All that light gray and light white that's coming through, and the white, that's your skin tone. So if there's any marks on that, that's going to show through.
Yeah.
You can't cover it with something that ain't there.
And that's in part because it's where the lighting source is. That's how you get those
it's just the way that black and gray works. Like, black and gray doesn't have a whole lot of heavy black in it.
Yeah.
And like I said before, you don't want a whole lot of heavy black in a cover up.
Yeah, there's two ways.
That.
There's 2 ways to do black and gray. Traditional, I'll say real black and gray is done with just a black pigment. Sometimes watered down and then applied to the skin in such a way that you're not saturating the area. You're allowing the skin to shine through some of the ink, so you see a lighter value of black.
Yeah.
So if it's not solid black, you are seeing skin showing through, and if there's something on that skin, guess
shows
what?
through.
It shows right through.
The other way to do it, like, is a full color black and gray, which a lot of people have been doing these days, which is with opaque grays, which is still a really, really light gray. It's mostly white with a little bit of black in it. If you got something dark, it's very hard to cover it up with anything like, say, white or light gray. Like, it's still going to show through or make a dark spot.
If you got a black bucket of paint, how much white you got to dump in it to make it white?
Turn it white. Exactly.
And as we
it's
mentioned,
never going to be white.
No.
And as we've mentioned in the past, there's no such thing as a tattoo primer.
No, there is no covering it up with like skin tone or gray or something like a car and then painting another fresh color over it. That's not how skin works.
Anybody who's painted their own house.
Yeah. Now you can
watch it, and the walls are like this color, and they want to go white.
Right.
Understand? It's going to take
put a lot of primer and
layers of primer to get to the point.
But like skin doesn't work like that unless you go get a professional laser and they laser it down and get it light, which is like putting a primer over it. Then you can come and get a little more fresh start on it. Even then,
that's like scraping the house.
But
before you repaint it.
That's
but that's like I'm saying. It's like if you want to think of yourself as a car, well, we can belt sand the tattoo down a little bit lighter. And
the
lose a
scarring
few,
might be pretty
the
good.
scarring's going to be heavy and lose a few layers of your skin, but what the heck?
And getting back to the kind of paint analogy, what I tell people too is the reason just big black open fields of open black don't work. If you have a white wall and you took a big brush and wrote your name on the wall in black, and then let it dry, and then come back and paint the whole wall black over the top of that name.
Everything that was black is going to get blacker.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're always you're going to be able to see that through. Maybe not just glancing at the wall, but there's going to be a time where you're like, hey. There was something on that wall they painted over. But if you have all this contrast and all these changes your eye is looking at, going on, all of those all that subtle stuff underneath is camouflage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, a cover up is more of a camouflage.
Disguise.
A lot of times there's kind of two tactics. There's the strong arm tactic of just trying to bury it and saturate it. And then there's the, look over here. Look over there. Oh, look, this shadow that's showing through, that's just part of the shadow on this.
Right.
So it's like subterfuge in a way.
Yeah.
And the 2 to 3 sizes, you want to distract from the cover up. If you're doing a beautiful lady, well, you don't put the cover up in the lady's
cheek.
face.
Yeah.
You put it down on her shoulder and her hair, and all these little shadows that are just adding to making her face look prettier.
Yeah.
No one looks at this part of the portrait going, wow,
Look at her hair.
Their peripheral is seeing that and adding contrast to, it's supporting that face. So
Yeah.
you don't,
It works together.
Yeah.
you don't sit there and look at it and go, what a nice shirt. God, they did such a great job on the shirt.
Right. And a lot of people, when they got like names and stuff back in the day, when they cover them up, we would use like roses per se or something like that. What you do is like if you got the name here where your finger is, you got the rose up above it, and then the foliage, the green leaves and the dark stuff down below it that you're going to dark out a little bit anyway to make that rose be bright and pop. That's where that cover up's going to be, is in those flowers, not in the flower itself, but in the petals and the leaves underneath the flower. It's in between that stuff. That's where you're hiding stuff, because it makes more sense, because like you said, you're not focusing on, man, that's a cool rose, but that leaf under it is really, really nice. Like you don't give a crap about the leaf.
Yeah.
Right.
It does add to the design.
Right,
but
and it brightens up that light colored rose that you wanted. So now it's a really pretty yellow or pink or black and gray white rose or whatever you wanted to do, and it illuminates it because you have that shadow underneath it, which pushes it out. And you can't have a bright tattoo without black.
It gives you an excuse or a reason to be dark there because of the way the shadows work and everything else. So it doesn't stand out and look odd. Like, why is that so dark there?
It's kind of like coughing while you're farting. It's a form of subterfuge. It's saying, look over here instead of look here. One question I had kind of from the beginning. Now you're going to be wondering every time I cough.
Right.
Did he fart on me?
Yes. Fart humor is funny. I don't care.
Yeah, it's always funny.
It's always funny at any age. Yes, exactly. So what are some of the signs that you guys look for when determining whether or not a tattoo is healed or not? Obviously, the peeling's done.
The flaking and peeling's over. All the scabs are gone. The skin's no longer shiny.
Okay, that's the thing.
That shiny skin is brand new skin. When you start tattooing over that, it's thin as tissue paper. And when you start tattooing it, you're going to tear it, and that's going to cause a scar.
And I'll ask usually if the skin kind of has like a raised nature to it, like if you get cold or have a slight reaction to something that you might be allergic to. Sometimes that skin kind of puckers up just a little bit, and if the tattoo kind of does that just a little bit, it raises up some. It's still, it's still healing. Yeah, it's still working itself.
Yeah,
through the phases.
I pretty much, the shininess of the skin is kind of my main deciding factor, because that means there's no epidermis there. Yeah. The dermis is back, but it's still finishing some stitching, but the epidermis, the dead layer that's there, isn't there yet. So that means the epidermis it's closed up. There's no room for infection anymore, but it's still regenerating. And once that's done, then the epidermis builds back. So that skin's really in that teeter area of finishing up, that you might be able to go in there. But if you really have to saturate or you need to go in an extra time, you're probably going to scar.
You're going to end up basically having the same effect of overworking.
Yeah, exactly.
Your skin has 7 layers roughly to it. And like when you see in that shiny layer, you're at like layer 2. you still got another like 5 layers to go on top of that to build up, or under it, whichever way it's building, that has to grow back. Like you've only begun, like the Band-Aids just started to cover it and give it that little bit of a sheen over it. You got that first 1-2 layers over it to keep it from oozing and, being an open wound, but it's by no means healed.
I always thought we had 3 layers.
You actually have 7 layers of skin when you put it all together and dissect it. Yeah.
Well, we have 2 main layers, and then a fatty layer, a dermis, epidermis, and then the fatty layer underneath, and layer this, layer that. So I don't know.
And there's always a layer of dead skin cells.
Right. That's where they get, like when they put all of them together, they get the whole 7 layers. Once you go through the 7th, you're down in where your bones and your tissue and stuff are.
So like in piercing, we would consider that final stage where it goes from the shiny into that kind of just dull look as seasoning. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what he's asking about. Yeah. Because with piercings, we get that initially when we talk about healing time. We're talking about the period of time it takes for the wound no longer to be open. Right. But there's an additional, 3 times sometimes the healing period to where it gets back to the point where your body's had enough time to strengthen that tissue.
And if you're curious, just come in and talk to one of the artists, and we'll be happy to take a look at it. And then pretty much a glance, we can give you a rough estimation if you take care of it like this or you put lotion on it. How much longer you've got, just come in and ask us, and we'll be happy.
Just don't ask our opinions or ask whether. Well,
their opinions don't matter.
How much would you charge for this?
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
Vitamin E is a good way. Is a good thing
that
you can use to help kind of speed things up. Your body uses it for regeneration, and it can boost the healing or decrease the healing time and get you there a little sooner. But we can. It's it's kind of like leading a horse to water. We can get you to the water, but you got to drink, and by drinking that means take good care of your tattoo.
Right.
Take care of that investment. It's not for the rest of your life, but being a little careful and not going swimming today. And not going to the beach or out on the boat because you just spent $1,000 on this beautiful tattoo you got.
Let it heal.
It's worth it, because once it's in there and healed and you got it, all you got to do is wear some sunblock from time to time, and you're going to have an incredibly awesome tattoo forever, and it'll never need to be touched up.
And if you're healing a tattoo that you've gotten, whether you're happy with it or not, you need to drink plenty of water. You need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean like, oh, well, it's still shiny. You said 2 or 3 more weeks. So I went to another tattoo shop and got like my whole back done. Well, it's not going to be 2 or 3 weeks now because now your body's trying to heal that back. And what it was already, it'll slow it way down. You got to, it all comes together.
And it's the same thing with piercings.
Right.
Generally, I say, you're best to keep that kind of that sweet spot. If you're really young and healthy, maybe between 3 and 4. If you're closer to my age, maybe 1 at a time or 2 at a time. Because each time you do something more, it takes away from what you were already doing. So
you're splitting the team up. It's trying to heal you.
You've only got so much heal power, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got this tattoo. Well, there's all your heal power is going to that, so we can send all our forces there. Oh shit, we got something going on the ankle. Okay, well, peel off. Split up.
Yeah, now you're splitting the team up,
and it really does in a loose way. It really is kind of like that. If you're sick. If you're healing a broken leg and you go get a tattoo, man, that tattoo,
you're splitting them up.
You're probably going to get infected even. Your body is so depleted and has really few forces to try to battle this infection because it's healing bone. It's, all over the place. It's stretched very thin. Plus you're sick. It can change healing time.
Well, even if it doesn't get infected, you could take exponentially longer to heal it.
And that gives you more time to mess it up.
Right, exactly.
Well, I just had a young lady the other day. We did a tattoo on her thigh, and she mentioned to me she was sick a couple weeks before, and she was still running through her antibiotics that she'd been given. And I asked her, I was like, "Oh, and you're on them right now?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Ugh." It's like, you might want to consider, like, if you're feeling okay, stop taking them, because that will, the tattoo going in the skin, that is something foreign that your body's going to try and fight. Antibiotics, I mean, I don't know if that helps or anything, but I've never had any experience with antibiotics being good for a tattoo.
Well, I always recommend they finish their regimen of antibiotics.
Right.
You know, even if they're feeling better, just go on and finish your regimen, move your reschedule your tattoo time, and then come in when you're off the antibiotics and you're healed up and you're ready. To, your body's fresh and ready to heal a tattoo. Then you can get tattooed.
Yeah, fortunately, she was almost
already
done with the regimen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know what I do? I don't recommend anything when it comes to medications that doctors have prescribed, because if that person stops taking it on my recommendation and gets hurt, then I get sued and I lose everything.
That's what I was going to mention.
So I say do whatever your doctor says, because I'm not a doctor.
That's why I tell them to finish their. If your doctor prescribed you antibiotics, finish out what he said first before we do.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Right.
And whenever anybody's talked to me, like I came in and wanted to get a piercing done, but they're diabetic, that's one of the first things I always say is talk to your doctor. Your doctor knows a lot more about how well your skin's going to heal than I do, because I don't know anything about your medical history.
And understand when a professional says that to you, and no matter what regard, when they say talk to your doctor first, that means I don't have the authority legally to answer that question, and if I do, I'm exposing myself, and I can't do that. So unfortunately, I know it's irritating and frustrating that I'm legally shackled, that I cannot talk to you and give you an advice.
It's better to be safe.
It's not my fault. They say if you want to do this and have that, then you got to do this, because it's called freedom, I guess. So I'm not a doctor. I cannot. So really, don't save yourself a call if you're on heart medication, if you're on blood thinners, if you're on anything like that you think even has a possibility that might affect the tattoo. Don't call us.
Right, the
doctor. Talk to your doctor,
because we're going to say
call your doctor.
Because then when you grow an extra arm or your head falls off, like
on them.
They don't say, well, the tattoo guy said don't take it.
Right. Yeah.
And then guess who all the heads turn to?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you say, I said to talk to their doctor and they said they had, now it's not my responsibility,
I used to put it this way, is just like when you had that problem with your piercing and you went to your doctor and they gave you terrible advice.
Right.
Same thing goes for me giving you medical advice.
Right.
Yes, I have I have a pretty good working knowledge, but I don't know enough with your thing to know whether or not that's a good idea.
Right.
By legal authority.
Legal authority too.
I used to have a lot of customers back in Virginia that were older, and they all took blood thinners and whatnot, for different medical problems and reasons. And I would always tell them, I will do the tattoo for you. I've tattooed you a bunch. First, you need to go by and talk to the doctor, make sure it's okay. If you cut back on your blood thinner, or don't take it for that day, or the whatever you need to do, and see what they say about it before we do anything. Because if you're on blood thinners, you're obviously going to bleed more. It's going to push more ink out. It's going to be harder to heal. It's you've already got an underlying condition that's going to make this more difficult. So we want to consult them first to make sure that it's kosher, that we're cool with doing our procedure. But just like DaVo was saying, I had a guy got tattooed back home one time, and I did this geisha girl in his leg. And his wife was going to the doctor for like dialysis or something. So the next day, it had been like 6 hours since I tattooed him. And he goes to the doctor and he's like, "Oh, doc, look, my tattoo's all red around it. What do you think?" And the doctor's like, "Oh, you got staph infection." First off, infection develops 72 hours minimum.
Yeah.
It takes 72 hours to develop. So if I tattooed you 6 hours ago, there's no way on green earth that you can be infected with staph infection 6 hours later. So
no way to tell.
Yeah, there's no way to tell. So you've got somebody just like you're saying. He's a doctor. He's not a tattoo guy. He has no idea. He hates tattoos because he don't like looking at them.
Yeah,
that's his personal preference. Cool, but he can't tell you about what the tattoo's doing because he doesn't tattoo. Just like I can't tell you not to take your antibiotics or your medicine because I'm not a doctor.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know your medical history. It's a two-way street.
The crappy part is we get fined and lose our job if we do it, and nothing would ever happen to a doctor for messing up your tattoo.
Right, because he's practicing.
Because it's fair.
Practicing.
That's we're professionals. He's a practicer. I'm joking.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the amount of knowledge that they have to
it's unreal. My hat's off to them. God, thank you for doctors.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a few of them.
Nope.
And it's my experience with blood thinners. I haven't really seen any effect with the clotting, but I'm on lighter, heart rate and things with the stuff that, especially if you've had a stroke.
Yeah, and there's different levels.
Oh my goodness,
totally.
That stuff it turns your blood into water, basically.
Yeah. Some of those guys, man, that take that stuff, like you cut them, they'll bleed out before you get to the doctor. So man.
Yeah, and I've run into that a lot too with blood thinners and heart medications, thing like that. And generally, it seems that it's not a problem. I've had some, doctors say, "Well, just stop taking the medication, a day before, and then start after," things like that. And that's fine as long as the doctor
said that.
Because he knows, what that medicine is doing to you and how it may affect your blood flow. And if you stop it, that could create a problem because then once you start taking it, that starts this. So, in all medications, they're always coming out with different ones.
Oh, yes.
He's aware of the medication and your condition of your body, that what it
and
needs.
And the benefit that you're getting from that and whether you can live through or it's going to affect. So,
and what they're trying to do is find a balance that eliminates the bad clotting.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest with you, diet has more to do with that than anything else. And you may have some pre-existing, mom and dad gave you kind of things. But the bad and the good, where when you get cut or you get an abrasion or you get pierced, it does clot enough, and you don't just profusely just bleed.
Well, it's peace of mind for us, too. Like, I've gone and talked to my doctor. I do take blood thinners, but he said I'm okay if I do this and that. Well, I mean, that gives me peace of mind, so I'm not worried to death about you or, hurting you, because I don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
No.
I'm here to improve how you look at yourself and make you feel better about yourself. I'm not here to hurt your health or damage you in any way whatsoever, dude. I don't even like having to hurt you, honestly. I know tattoos hurt, but
and trust me, we know that we all know the feeling of someone caring about you way more than you want them to and keeping things from you because of it, even though you're not worried about it. But, laws.
Yeah, man.
Laws. Well, and parents.
And that.
There's those.
You're going to hurt yourself. Why? Yeah.
So, yeah. Well,
is there any more to the question? Or?
No, that was pretty much it. I think we covered that and covered up covered a couple of more subjects.
That was I think we had some good info on cover-ups overall and healing. So you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the question. That's awesome, man.
And
Thank you for the question.
That was just free. You got that much smarter for free. That's crazy.
Well, it cost you some time. It did cost you some time.
No, it was free, Jimmy.
Yeah, but if you watched it, and it was 30 minutes long, it cost you 30 minutes of your time to get smarter.
Whose side are you on?
I'm on everybody's side.
Well, don't.
And
it's our side.
And you might have had to watch a couple ads.
Yeah, maybe some ads, but
what
that
are
funds
ads?
this beautiful studio you see.
But if you're listening to this, generally there are no ads.
There you go.
Which never mind. Let me tell you, we do always put out a podcast version of this. It's audio only. You can not only find it pretty much anywhere podcasts are posted, but you can also download it directly from the BPT channel, the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel website, Skin Kitchen website, and the Axiom website.
You've got
and
no
if you
excuse.
pay for your subscription on YouTube, or
you see no ads. I don't know why more people don't do that. It's like $10 a month for the amount of entertainment.
There's
you
no
get out of
commercials.
it.
Yeah, it's so worth it.
Even though the algorithm has been off lately, I don't know if it's on vacation or whatever for the summer, but like it'll play a song, and then instead of your mix playing, it'll play like. The other day we were listening to Tesla, the band, and the next song that came on was like Taliban rap, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
like, I don't
weird
this language.
Real quick.
it's all conspiracy.
Weird.
Yeah, it's all
strange, but other than that. Thanks.
Anyway, it was free. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, especially if you're listening to the podcast, because you can be doing anything and listen to it.
You can be driving.
You could be driving. You could be
earning some money.
Think about. I mean, people went to college today and didn't get that as much knowledge.
No.
So I mean, like if you're driving a truck and listening to this, you're actually getting paid to listen to us.
That's
there
right.
you go.
So,
if you're doing
winning.
a job and listening to this.
All right.
Anyway, just be safe. That's all we ask.
Yeah, be careful and be good to each other out there, guys.
Well, I think that pretty much covers it. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you liked it, because we like it when you like it. Share with other people, because sharing is good. Also, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time we post something. If you like to purchase merch, you like t-shirts, you like swag, you like fanny packs, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings and tattoos heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we'd all love to see you for your body piercing and tattooing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and thank you.
Thanks, guys. Be good.